Hi, and welcome back, socialite enthusiasts. We are here to talk to you about the drama Feud. Episode title, Masquerade. The title Masquerade being absolutely appropriate, seeing as though often most of us wear masks. In this episode, we see who people are shielding themselves as, and they're pretending to be things they aren't, and Truman isn't the only one wearing a mask. So we see that the moral high ground has become a little bit of a valley of snakes. Let's get into it.
Ooh, I love it. The Valley of Snakes. Vipers, you vipers, you.
Yes. So in this episode, Masquerade, Truman is chronicling his ascendancy as well as exposing the socialites' personal lives by doing a documentary. So what are some of your thoughts whenever you saw him come in with the Maisley brothers with the camera?
First, only Truman could find the brother who's the most...
Like, you might want to keep him from me.
Seduce him. And then the other brother just continues to film as if ain't nothing to it. And all of this is happening in a time where, that aspect of society was not acceptable. And so it was like, wow, what is really going on? And then everything dealing with the women, how they all wanted to be the guest of honor. And then he lied to every one of them. And they're like, oh no, it's okay.
So snakish the entire time. Like, oh, well, after I went through this, then Truman, don't tell anybody. But he told me in good faith that I'm going to be the guest of honor. He made a fool out of every last one of them. The only one, at least, and correct me if I'm wrong, that I didn't notice, was Lee, that wasn't really going with this whole guest of honor thing or even really feeling Truman. Later in the episode, they're filming and Lee starts saying, hey, he's convinced himself that he's our best friend, but I don't think so. To be a woman is to live a life of solitude, and even your sister sleep with your man. I say, you know what, Lee?
Foreshadowing.
Okay. Valley of Snakes. Okay, that's what this should have been called. So that made me really, really like Lee. Okay. It did, because you see Slim leading the charge, like Truman's so wrong for all of these things, and she continues throughout the course of the episodes to want to ice him out. Not so much in this episode because they take a time jump backwards to the Masquerade Ball, but you see her consistently trying to ensure that Truman is iced out, and I just found that hilarious as things unfolded.
I wanted to comment one thing. He was so shysty. He would turn the cameras off, but he really didn't want them to turn the cameras off.
I was like, listen, for me, that was the most vile and disgusting foul. I want to use a lot of more F words, but I'm gonna pause right there. I'm like, oh, they're not gonna put anything in there that we don't want them to do. Hey, turn it off. It's like, Truman, you little weasel. He is such a weasel. I wish we could pause right here and show the image of a freaking weasel.
He was entertaining. That was, even though it was a deviation from what we had seen, and that was part of, behind, we were texting, and I was just like, I did not care for this episode. Now, to hear us talk about it, it was actually entertaining.
It was messy. And again, like we discussed previously, it was reality TV before reality TV.
Real Housewives of New York. Ooh.
Come on, the upper echelon edition. Okay, the one percenters, as you would say. So in this episode, I found it interesting that they opened with appreciating art. So you have Babe and Truman on this kind of bestie date, and they're looking at art. And I'm like, Babe is just so classy. She appreciates the beautiful things, and she loves the pretty things of the world, but she can also see the ugliness in it all at the same time. So she's very poised, but at the same time, she's realistic. And I found out that, I don't know that they mentioned it before, she offered to buy Truman a house.
Yeah, we talked about that.
She offered to buy my house. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, to keep him close. But Truman was like, you're not going to control me. And I appreciated that.
We've got questions and we know you have answers, so make love to our senses in the comments. Drop them down below.
I don't think he was upfront about the true intentions of the documentary. And in the end, he decided against the documentary and decided to make a book because, it'll just play out better as a book. But I feel as though you opted not to do the film because it also painted you in a negative light. You didn't just expose them. You showed your other heads. Yeah.
Especially because they included images of all the rude and nasty things that he was saying and doing, and he saw himself. And he didn't want the world to see him that way. He didn't want the world to see the true Truman. The true Truman. Will the true Truman please stand up? And he did awful things, and it's just like, you little hypocrite. You have some nerve. So if you have the power of the pen, you can wield it in whatever way that you see fit. So you can go on this whole smorgasbord bullcrap and expose these people, and have yourself looking like a saint. And I thought that was disgusting. Like, no, call it both ways, sir. Oh, well, you know what? You having these people's private moments recorded, lying about it.
Okay, and I'm assuming that editing isn't quite like it is now, but you wanted to make certain that no one saw you. I'm like, oh my goodness. So yes, going back just for a moment with the guest of honor. When they get to the actual masquerade,
who was this woman?
She was a publicist. What's her last name? Graham. I want to say Kate Graham, Catherine Graham, or something like that. She was some publicist, and she was the guest of honor. And as soon as he gets this lady up there, like, "Hey, this is the guest of honor," then he said something really backhanded. I'm like, I would have backhanded him in that moment, because this woman is like, "Oh, all excited about being a guest of honor." And he was like, "And you really deserve it because your husband committed suicide." And I'm like, how do you take this woman's moment and you actually absolutely contaminate it with something just completely horrible and rude?
Basically saying you only got this position because your husband died. You're not really worthy of it, but because you have this position and because I need you, I'm going to give you this honor.
Yes, and it makes for good drama to take this moment and bring up something that is absolutely awful that's happening in your life. So congratulations to you. He's a freaking jerk. Switching gears a bit, since we mentioned people wearing masks and not being true, Babe's friend Slim.
Okay.
Slim, as we spoke about, leading the charge, making sure that Truman has zero access. In this episode, we find that Slim, because I always refer to her as lonely or something crazy like that, Slim has a new beau. Slim is getting her back blown out. I mean, her hair is down. The girl ain't got her pearls on. Slim is being Dirty Diana, doing the nasty, okay? Smoking a cigarette, thugging it, and loving it with the Babe's husband, Bill.
Baby.
I had to pause the television. I'm gonna tell you right now. You get so invested with these characters and you take stuff personally. I wanted to beat her.
What?
Okay. I wanted to beat Slim. I did. I absolutely wanted to beat Slim. You are a hypocrite. You are saying all of these things about Truman, and most of them are true. You're not better. You are absolutely not better. You have the nerve to be sleeping with your best friend's husband behind her back.
Say it.
And you want to be going hard like your Babe's champion. I'm like, girl. And Bill, I am surprised that his penis hasn't fallen off by now.
Who will he not sleep with? Do you have no shame?
None. I mean, he is literally, if For the Streets was a term then, that's him, For the Streets. William. Like, I don't think he's met a cervix that wasn't appealing to him. Like, my goodness. A cervix, a mouth, whatever. You haven't found anything that you haven't found attractive.
It don't matter what time of month it is.
The time of the month, the day of the week, the season, the location. Okay, locale is not even a factor for you.
Your wife's bed. My goodness. When you have the wherewithal to go to a hotel, when you have the wherewithal to go to a different room.
Babe is fighting cancer, and true enough, he has been, for what we've seen on film, a better husband to her during her struggle. But then you see him sleep with Slim, and I am just appalled, disgusted, and offended.
That much.
Like, dear Lord. So at this point, Slim can just go ahead. Her character can go. I need a minute away from Slim. Like, I was like, wow, lady. But in the end, we find that Babe gives permission.
Well, so I have a question. So if you are dying from cancer, you know that you're gonna die. You're married. Do you want your husband to, find love, or do you just throw it in his face yet again that he's cheating on you? Like what's the most important thing in that moment?
I think it depends on the individual. And I know that's a fence-straddling comment, but it does depend on the person. In Babe's case, she's just been through so much. I think she's just tired. I think that she loves Bill, but she's not in love with Bill to this point. However, she loves him enough to say, hey, I want you to be happy, even though you were absolutely awful. So, not that it would matter anyway, because you're doing it while I'm alive. I mean, so naturally I expect you to do it when I'm gone. But to clear my conscience or whatever it is that's going on with me, I'm going to just give you permission. So we already see Babe as a lady, and in this moment, she classes it up even more. And so it's really hard not to love her character for trying to be the bigger person. But
I have a question. Do you think she really knew, or do you think they were assuming a whole lot?
I honestly, in my heart of hearts, I think Babe knew, because Babe turned a blind eye to a lot. And I feel like she cultivated that friendship with Slim for so long that it just wasn't even worth it. Wasn't worth dissolving the friendship behind. She was already drained behind losing Truman as a friend. And Slim was so close to where it's like, you know what, everybody else sleep with my husband anyway. At least I know you do love me, so whatever. I think she knew. I absolutely think she knew. But I can see how it could come off like, y'all just kind of ran with what she said, and maybe she didn't know. But personally, I think she knew.
So I have a question. So if she knew, clearly, who was it? What was her name? You said it earlier. Not Lee. I want to say Lee so bad. Lee. Because Lee was the one that went to Slim and was like, "You gonna stop having sex with him, right?"
Yes.
Okay. So if Babe knew, if the other ladies knew what he was doing and who he was doing it with, then are these people really friends?
Frenemies before it became a thing. I don't think it's a surface level friendship. I think it's these are different kinds of friends. I don't want those kinds. I'm good on all of that, but they're different kinds of friends because how these friendships developed, I don't have a whole lot of background on it, but I would venture to say that it wasn't very organic. I don't doubt that some of it was probably forced or happenstance or something like that. So it's just different types of friendship to me. So I'm not gonna say they weren't really friends, just different kinds of friends and the kind that I would want personally. I don't want you to ever think it's okay to sleep with my husband. Like, the hell?
That's the thing. Now, okay, so I have known people. I have caught people.
Speak on it.
Married. Having sex. Neither group knows. I'm the only one that knows because I'm the one that catches them.
and how appropriate and amazing for them that it's you. Because the secret will fall and die right there with you.
Yeah.
How appropriate.
To this day, they don't like. I've never told anyone. Never. Good and married. And just the amazing part was like, y'all might as well just go live together. Like it didn't make sense. It didn't make sense at all. It didn't make sense.
The disrespect. I wouldn't want that kind of. I can't have that. That would just weigh on me, and I wouldn't give it up. But I just wouldn't want to know. Like that's got to be odd.
You wouldn't want to know that the person you're married to is cheating.
Oh no, I'm gonna need to know that. Okay. I don't want to be privy to that kind of secret. Like that's a lot.
I was a kid. I was in my teens, early teens, very early teens. Yeah.
That speaks volumes to your character.
What was amazing was that no one like came to me and said, "Please don't say anything." It was just like, I'm walking out.
While we're on the subject of Slim, she is livid with Truman because he has invited the woman who was sleeping with her husband, who he's now married to the ball, and she is pressed and upset. Also, you don't like when people sleep with your husband? You don't like that? I thought you thought it was cool. I thought I would have thought that was okay.
And he was so funny. What was his excuse? It was so funny, and he downplayed it. He was like, oh girl, it's just I had to do it. I just had to. It was just you understand, don't you? I know you understand.
Oh, the invitation already went out. I'm sorry, the postage is paid. I ain't nothing I can do. Sorry, girl.
And it was like he knew what he was doing the entire time. This man knew what he was doing.
Weasel. Speaking of his Weasley ways, poor Ann Woodard crashes the party. And let me be clear, the girl looked great. She crashed the party, looking so good, brought her son with her. She just wanted to be a part of what she was used to at this point in her life. And Truman takes the opportunity to beat her down. Absolutely beat her down. It would have taken the National Guard to keep me off of Truman with the way that he handled her and her son in that moment.
But I think her response to him put him in his place.
Speak on.
I don't remember everything that she said, but she was just appealing to his humanity. And like you could just see everyone just like in that moment just turn, and they were like, they felt it, they understood it. And it was like, yeah, it's best that you leave, but at the same time, Truman, you're a dog. And
he played it back, like you said, and now, you don't want it to be filmed anymore. Because you look like the absolute monster that you are. Just watching that whole scene for me was gut-wrenching, because for her to come out, first of all, everyone thinks you killed your husband. And even if you did, that's neither here nor there. Everyone is speaking about you, and it's not in a positive light. You have your son with you. He doesn't know that you all aren't invited. You just want to have a good time. You want to be among people who you thought were your friends, and you want to be relevant to some degree, and again, just have a good time. And you are met with absolutely just nastiness. Mm-hmm. And he doubles down on it. Even when she appeals to his humanity, he doubles down on the ignorance and continues to say horrible things to her. Mm-hmm. So shout out and kudos to her for not getting violent with him. But, the sticks and stone days are long gone. Words are eternal. They are absolutely eternal. And they do hurt. So I just didn't appreciate the way that he handled her at all.
The through line to this entire season seems to be that storyline. I am very curious as to how it ended. And I do remember, like in the first episode, we pretty much, maybe it was episode 2, episode 1, episode 2, we had an idea. She kills herself, right? I get that. But everything that leads up to it, it couldn't have just been that magazine article. Couldn't have just been that magazine article. It had to have been more and more and more and more that led her to believe that her only out was to kill herself. And I'm very curious about that story.
I would like to dig into that a little bit more too, but if I had to just use my imagination, I 100% agree with you. Not just that isolated incident of the post, which that was a major trigger for her, but just imagine you didn't come up in this way with these people. Mm-hmm. You married into it. You become accustomed to this lifestyle. You've made what you think or thought were friends. You're accustomed to a certain way of living, and the rug has been snatched from under you. You can't go to the grocery store. You can't go to any social events. You can't do any of these things without people whispering. You can't, and your every single day is essentially a nightmare. And thank God it wasn't in the day of social media. It would have been much worse. But I don't think she was able to get any peace.
I guess my question is, okay, so if you're a woman of means, your husband is dead, you have a son, you're in this social status, they've shunned you. I guess for me, because if I were in her position, if I'm a woman of means, okay, you all don't want to be cool with me. There's got to be someone who will be cool with me. I remember the days when I lived like this. Let me find these people who live like this as well. I'll be cool with them. That's me.
And for me, that's a rational thing to do. I 100% agree with moving that way if you can settle your brain enough to think that way. But again, you got to think about it. She's just they're constantly coming at her. I don't think she was in a good mental space because even before everything happened with her husband, things weren't well for her. Apparently he had been cheating or whatever it is they were saying that he was doing. So she had a lot going on even before her husband's death. So, and
you know what, to kind of echo what you're saying, she would think that these same women would understand her situation because clearly all of their husbands are cheating on them as well. So how dare you shun me? And wait a minute, didn't you come from California? Wait a minute, didn't you come from this small town over here? You're no different than I am. So what's the deal?
Yes. Which is why I'm not a huge fan of the Swans. I'm not a huge fan. And the way in which they maneuver, especially just treating people the way that they do. You don't have to deal with them, but don't make things hard for them either.
That was a call.
Yes. Jack. Truman's beau.
Is that the young one or the old one?
The older distinguished gentleman. Okay. That's at the ball, and Jack is having a great time. He is hammered. He's hammered. He's having a good time. He's dancing with everybody, and Truman has the nerve to get upset. Mm-hmm. I didn't quite understand it, but I love how Jack was like, it was absolutely boring. I'm trying to add some. I'm trying to add some excitement. Live a little, and whatever. And he has this kind of moments where he gets in the camera and he tells the camera, the biggest part of it all is you have to pretend to like him. So he was like, those were very venomous words because Jack actually loves Truman. He loves him, but I don't think he likes him.
That's a very real thing. You can love someone but not like them at the same time. And so I understood exactly what he was saying because I've been there. I've known people who were in that particular situation, and so that's a tough pill to swallow. Especially when you're in a relationship and you've been in this relationship for so long and you've seen every facet of a person's personality, and because you love them, you stay with them, but you see the evil things that they do to you and everyone else.
I love you, but I don't like you. It is real. I 100% agree with you. So I like Jack's character. He seems to be a stand-up guy, and Truman, honestly, is very lucky to have him in his life at all. But I completely disgusted by Truman because the nerve of you. Let this man have some fun. You getting beat up and all this other stuff. He's checking for you, and you don't want this man to dance and have a good time. You think he's still in your light? You even bring up him being a chorus boy. Okay, is that what attracted you to him? What's the problem? Leave that man alone. Even Babe was like,
she
kind of waves him off like, leave him alone. He's having a good time. So.
Do you think so? You said something, and that was something that I was thinking as well. I was thinking that maybe Truman was a little jealous of Jack. I don't know. I don't know. I think Truman sees the filth of a person, whereas Jack sees the light of a person.
Yes, definitely an axiom between the two of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe he was just feeling that way in that moment, and it came out.
Truman had his own form of abuse that he was doing to Jack, whereas John is physically abusing him. He's mentally abusing Jack. 100%. 100%. When we get to the close of this episode, we get to see our beautiful favorite person, Jessica Lange, servant, looking so good. Truman is hallucinating again and having this dance with his mother at the ball. And I'm like, here we go again. He on that stuff. He is on that stuff. But you love to see Jessica Lange pop up in the scene. So it's a little treat that you get, and then you're still sitting there wondering though, like, what the hell, Truman? Like, you are drinking to the point of psychosis.
He's having fun. He's having fun.
He's having fun, but you don't want Jack to have no fun. That nerve.
Yeah, so Jack is supposed to be his helper. Jack is supposed to be the one who picks up everything, cleans everything up, while Truman goes out and has fun and sleeps with whoever he wants to. Jack is supposed to stay at home and do nothing. Yeah.
Oh, I ain't that type of housewife. I'm sorry. Nope. I'm about to be out here in the middle of the club with my shirt off too, boo. That's what we doing? Okay. You in a steam house? I'm in 2 steam houses. What's up? I'm on Steam Street. What you want to do? The little engine that could. What you want to
do? Could and did it better.
Did it better, did it louder. Okay. This is not what you want to do. I am a Virgo. I'm going to forever want my lick back. You might want you.
True.
You gonna run out of steam before I do.
True. All true. I might forgive, but I don't forget.
I got receipts, baby. As they say, I got receipts. Before we go, let's take a minute to give a shout out to some of our people who have been in the comments. Hey y'all! Shout out to Liddy Lid. What's up? And keep it weird. Hey, and thank you for the compliment on my glasses that I had last time. Really appreciate that. Get you some. Please get you some. They are very reasonable. These are not just for fashion. Elia cannot see, so they are prescription. Yes, get you some. Also, big shout out to Peggy Passon. I hope I didn't say that wrong. Thank you for getting in the comments and showing us some love. Come back for more. We like it. We like it over here. Making love to us in the comments. I don't want to get it wrong.
But look, I looked at it too. Keep it weird. It's actually worded that way. Keep it read. So I was like, maybe keep it weird was taken, and so they just transferred the letters.
Yeah, my brain on autocorrect. I'm like, that's supposed to be weird.
And Peggy, and I guess I typed it exactly as it was. In my head, I read Peggy Passion.
Look me pass on. I made it French.
But I promise you, it's as it is. But anyway, thank you all so very much for watching us. Are we done with episode 3?
We are done with episode 3, Masquerade.
Okay. All right. Well, again, thank you all so very much for joining us. Until next time.